Democratic Socialists denounce all that. The key word for them, democratic. They believe that both the government and the economy should be run by the people by way of the ballot box.
Esta es la hora del pueblo bolivariano.
But Venezuela's socialist was elected.
Aquí no hay dictadura. Yo he sido electo aquí 3 veces.
They can start off democratically elected, and then once they centralize control over the economy, it becomes impossible to democratically unelect them.
Economist Ben Powell.
Now, Maduro rules while ordering state employees to vote for him or they lose their job.
Maduro blatantly buying votes.
They put food aid stations next to polling places and you get rewarded with rations if you vote correctly. Now democracy there is a sham.
Welcome everyone, Stossel Kenny here. Today we'll be reacting to the final part of the 5 Socialism Myths by John Stossel. Hopefully I said that right. If I didn't, you guys will let me know in the comment section, but let's get into it.
This is class war!
In my last video, we covered 2 big myths about socialism, but we have more. So here's myth 3. Socialism brings good things if it's democratic socialism.
The examples of failed socialism that critics use are not socialist democracies, but authoritarian states.
Democratic Socialists denounce all that. The key word for them, democratic. They believe that both the government and the economy should be run by the people by way of the ballot box.
Isn't it, I don't know, I don't understand, like, aren't we currently doing that already, right? We're democratic republic, right? We're using democracy to elect representatives to represent us, right? If your democratic socialism is not changing the dynamic of how the vote is actually being done, like, are we voting for a representative here, or everyone has to vote on every law that's passed through Congress? Like, I don't get what they're trying to do with democratic socialism. Because in my view, Hitler was elected. Stalin possibly was elected. People elected these people. I think if we ever become an authoritarian, totalitarian state, people volunteered for it. People voted it in. So I don't see how democratic socialism is going to fix socialism.
La hora del pueblo bolivariano.
But Venezuela's socialist was elected.
Aquí no hay dictadura. Yo he sido electo aquí 3 veces.
They can start off democratically elected, and then once they centralize control over the economy, it becomes impossible to democratically unelect them.
Economist Ben Powell.
Now, Maduro rules while ordering state employees to vote for him or they lose their job.
Maduro blatantly buying votes.
They put food aid stations next to polling places and you get rewarded with rations if you vote correctly.
Wow. Democratic socialism, huh? So that's one of my things. I think trying to bribe people with cash and prizes should be illegal. Like a politician can't just come here, open his mouth and say, hey, I'm gonna do this for you, and then his whole term he never does it, and it comes back and say, oh, I tried, people. No, I think if America was more informed, especially my generation and younger, like I'm 26 years old, and people younger, I believe if we're more informed about like what the government is actually capable of doing, what's realistically possible to be done, I don't think a lot of this bribery or these promises that politicians make will actually influence people that much. People will be like, I'm gonna just go by your track record, or if you don't have a track record, I'll go based on what's probable. What's more probable? You able to centralize the government in America, a constitutional republic, where it's intentionally made to make slow progress, not fast progress, then I'll be more balanced in my expectations of politicians. I'm just saying that's what I'm just personally thinking. But let's get back into the video.
Now democracy there is a sham.
It always becomes authoritarian? Always?
Everywhere you try socialism, that's what you get.
Why?
It's hard to exercise political freedom if you don't have economic freedoms. If you're dependent upon the state for your livelihood, you lose your ability to use your voice to oppose them because you can be punished.
But unfortunately...
And that's the main reason why I personally don't want the black community to be 90% Democrat. Because Democrats are employing the same tactics, right? They give all these government programs to the most impoverished people in America, and then effectively whenever Republicans want to try or want to bring the government into a different direction, they'll come out and say, oh, look, the R man is bad, the Republican is bad, he's trying to cut down your tax benefits, or he's trying to take away your welfare, he's going to take away your Section 8 housing, they will take funding away, right? And effectively is a call to the people saying, hey, if you want to keep your cash and prizes, you better vote for us, even though it's an unfounded fear. But end of the day, people who are dependent on the system, they're like, no way, I can't take a chance of this happening, so they'll vote Democrat, even if it's bad. Even in the long run, it's bad for the country. But as long as they get their benefits and their welfare system, they're fine with it. And this is why one of the problems I have with the Democratic Party is that it seems like they reward the current generation with all the cash and prizes, but the future generation of that community suffers in the long run. Like look at when they introduced child welfare to the black community around in the 1960s, right? They was in a position where they could be independent from the government, and the government came in and say, look, you need us, and effectively made the black community its pet. Like, oh, here, we'll take care of you. But like I said, if the government take care of it, they have authority over it. And it seems like it's playing into socialism a little bit, but I digress.
People don't realize that when they're promoting democratic socialism.
Democratic socialism is your kid's public school.
It's the researchers and scientists paid with our taxes.
It's our interstate highway system.
We're not purely capitalist. There are some industries that are government-owned, operated, and controlled, socialized, if you will. It's no accident that when you look at these and think about things that are inefficiently done and underperforming, our public education, our congested streets, these socialized industries don't work well.
But what
inefficiencies, right? The resources going to the wrong place. Since the government's running it, it's a third party, so they're not unnecessarily affected by the quality of it or the cost as well. Because at the end of the day, the government don't produce anything; they just take tax dollars from the people, and only the people suffer in this. And this is one of the reasons why I think that resource management is not government's best attribute. I don't think government manages resources well at all, right? Black students, minority students suffer the most in public school. They perform better in charter and private school. And when we hear advocating, hey, school choice, we got all these actors coming out saying, no school choice. You're trying to privatize public education. I'm like, yo, but that's the point, because it seems like the private sector can manage and make better products and a better quality product than the government. And I have all the stats to show it. Homeschool kids outperform public school kids. Private school kids outperform everybody. So, and then charter school is like is a better in between. I rather most kids go to charter schools than public schools, because it seems like public schools aren't changing how they use the resources. Just my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comment section.
About
Norway. It's as socialist as they come.
Instead of Cuba or China, think Sweden.
Myth 4. Socialism does work well in Scandinavia, but Scandinavian countries are not socialist.
Sweden isn't socialist. Volvo is a private company. Go to restaurants, hotels, they're privately owned. Markets organize the vast majority of Swedish economic activity.
But Sweden
did have a period in the 1970s and 1980s when we had something that resembled socialism, a big government that taxed and spent heavily. There were waiting lines to get health care. People couldn't get the pension that they depended on for the future. At that point, the Swedish population just said, enough, we can't do this.
So Sweden cut taxes and cut government spending. They privatized trains, sold state-owned businesses.
When I talk about democratic socialism, I'm looking at countries like Denmark.
When American politicians wrongly called Scandinavia socialist, Denmark's prime minister came to America to refute them.
Denmark is far from a socialist planned economy. Denmark is a market economy.
In fact, Denmark today is more free market than America.
With much freedom to pursue your dreams and live your life.
Finally, myth 5.
So I want to give like a quick point in. So imagine that. They keep pointing to all these countries. So look at Scandinavia. Scandinavia is the vision of democratic socialism. And America is like below them, but they're trying to be more capitalistic. They're trying to be more free market. And over here, you're trying to use them as justification to make us less free market. Crazy. It's crazy. And you see how this is one of my points. You don't have to agree with everything I said. I don't care if you agree with everything I said. But the main point I'm trying to say is that as a people, we have to be informed, right? And maybe me pointing out these videos is helping in some way. Maybe, I hope it does. But that's my main thing is I just want people to be more informed about what's actually possible. What's the reality of government? Not what they imagine the government could do, can't do, whatever. Because the Constitution is made to slow progress. Like, you ain't going to try to get fast progress. And then this is why all these people are like, oh, let's destroy the filibuster. No. Because anytime a new government come in, it's going to be too unstable. But yeah, I digress. Let's get into myth 5, the final myth.
Socialism is completely different from fascism. When a congressman said,
the potential is out there for another Hitler, socialist like Hitler, to come along.
Another congressman said he was wrong.
It's the Nazis that's terrible, not the socialists. They were Nazis who killed Jews, and I get offended when you compare socialists to Nazis.
They were fascists.
It's true that fascism and socialism aren't exactly the same, but they do have a lot in common.
They both replace market decision-making with command and control. While socialism abolishes private property and replaces it with state ownership, fascism leaves private ownership in nominal terms, at least, but replaces decision-making with state control and orders. As an average person living your life, whether under socialism or fascism, you lose your autonomy, your control over your own future. Only under capitalism do you have the freedom to say no.
This is why primarily I always believe that if fascism was to come to America, it's going to come from the left. Because effectively, us trying to centralize everything opens the pathway, like I said, for one bad person to come in, and whatever that bad person's ideology, thoughts, or whatever, if it's extreme in any way, can come in and boom, the system's in place. While if we go towards the right, maybe fascism can come from the right, but we'll still have our guns. We can still revolt. Like, we'll still have the means, because at the end of the day, the Republican platform is, hey, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-individual. Like, hey, we want the resources in the individual's hands, not necessarily the government making all these decisions for you. So I think it's a lot harder to actually carry out fascism the way that the Nazis and Hitler was able to do it. But hey, I digress. Like, let me know what you guys think.
Entrepreneurs offer you their services. They offer you employment. You can say no and choose a better path for yourself. You don't get that same type of choice when someone else is planning the economy.
Powell and another economist wrote a book about socialist countries.
We went to Socialism 2018, the biggest gathering of young socialists, and they pointed out lots of problems in the United States, problems with migration, with war, with policing. The problems they were identifying were the product of bad government that the U.S. is giving them, not capitalism.
Yeah, it's just like know who's actually responsible for the bad things that's going on in your economic system. Right? Find out, okay, why is the police is bad? Who runs the police? Oh, government runs the police. Why teaching so bad? Oh, the teachers unions are in cahoots with the government. Oh, the teachers unions vote 94% Democrat. You don't think them being in cahoots with each other can cause a conflict of interest and what might be bringing down the quality of education? Maybe we should look into that instead of sitting here and saying, oh no, it's capitalism's fault. When the capitalism is voluntary, you can't make someone pay you more than they're willing to pay you. If people value your job to be valuable, you'll get paid your worth. I mean, you get paid what you negotiate technically. But this to me, it speaks to the fact that I think as young people, the fact that we don't have history and the fact that they, in social media and all this stuff, they condition us not to respect experience anymore. Like, oh, age is just a number. Like, you hear young people throwing that around, like me, Gen Z. You'll hear people like that throw it around like, oh, age don't matter. Age don't determine if you're mature or not. Like, but age tells you have experience, you have wisdom. And I think as young people, I think there's a lot of I now understand the parable when they say, like, listen to your elders, because your elders have experience, while young people, we have a lot of theories. And I just want to end my point on that.
Socialism appeals because it promises fairness and equality.
Resources should be allocated to those who need them.
They hear the preaching of socialism about equality, but they don't look on what it actually delivers. The history of humanity is of poverty, starvation, early death. This was true throughout our history until very recently. In the last 20 years, we've seen more humans escape extreme poverty than any other time in human history, and that's because of markets.
That was a good video. I actually liked it a lot. I feel like I learned I had some inklings about socialism, but like, you know, some in-depth, like trying to refute some certain points or certain things I hear a lot. is useful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is the final part. Apparently, he only made 2 parts, but it's great. This is a great video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Should I try to do find more videos like this? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.